live from New York.
It's
Peter's night.
Saturday night.
Please join us, everyone in the audience, for Pledge of Allegiance.
All three of them.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah.
I love you. Yeah, there you go. What? Hey, how are you? So we're live,
So we're live.
and we got some business to attend to. Uh-oh. We have a late comer?
Damn.
Oh, no. We've taken a vote, no late comers.
Yep. You have to stay out.
You're out.
Out of the class. If you can't be when a
Ladies
bell
and
rings.
gentlemen,
When the bell rings,
You know, we're live.
Richard Crowley is present. Begin.
Has left the building. Okay, we are going to have some board elections.
Hey, we on TV?
yes, we are.
Jeez, I'm sorry.
Told
I
you
didn't mean
were.
that to the public.
Told you that.
We just did the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, they saw your best side, Richard.
Elections. I'd like to nominate Ed for chair and
Hey, don't I have to recognize you first?
no.
No, you don't just
No?
come in,
And sit
being
down and
late,
start taking
and
over.
start
I think
nominating people.
what I will do is I will now take suggestions or nominations for chairman, vice chair, and,
Well, let's start one at a time. I would like to nominate Peter. You did such a good job. Let's bring Peter back again.
as chairman?
Sure.
Well, I'd like to nominate.
Me? Oh, no, I couldn't. I couldn't.
Really? Oh, well, we'll have to pick somebody else. Hey, how about you, Ed?
I would love it.
Let's let it happen. Let's let it.
Would you like to nominate Ed?
I'd like to.
Let's do one at a time.
I'd like to go along with the nomination for Ed as chairman.
Okay, then all those in favor? Do I have a second?
I second
Wait,
that.
you didn't ask.
I only asked for one thing.
You didn't
I'm
ask
doing one.
everybody at the table.
About what?
Do you want,
You're just taking a vote, right?
well, do you want it, yeah.
Would
Do
you
you want
like
to
to-
nominate somebody
I
else?
don't have to, I don't have a suggestion for anybody else that hasn't been nominated yet.
Okay.
So would you like to nominate someone else?
No.
No.
Well, apparently you're it.
So
So
we have
far.
to
Oh, we
vote.
want to take a vote?
Yeah, let's
All
vote
right,
on
let's
it.
vote on it.
All those in favor of Ed being chairman signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
Now what do you want to do?
Now he's boss.
Now you busted.
Now you conduct the meeting, Ed. That's cool.
So, looking for a nomination for vice chair. Mark, Peter, Jamie.
Vice chair.
I think Jamie should do it. I'd like to nominate Jamie to be vice chair.
We got a motion for Jamie. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second for Jamie to be vice chair. All those in favor signify by saying
Aye.
Aye.
should
Jamie,
ask if she
congratulations.
Thanks.
Congratulations to the
wants
both of you.
She's climbing the
Now
ladder
look-
faster than anyone ever before.
Right.
The hell
Now-
with this glass ceiling crap.
Now,
shattering.
finally, nomination for clerk. Do I have a motion for anybody to be clerk of the board?
Mark, he speaks.
Mark. Yeah, well, I'd like to nominate Mark as clerk.
Good.
The
that means I don't
nomination,
have to
can I
do
get a
CPC. I'll
I'll
take
do
it.
I'll second that.
All those in favor by signifying aye.
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 The ayes have it.
And now we have to, Community Preservation Committee, CPC. I would think Richard would do a great job with that.
Before we move on, I would like to take a moment to thank Peter Scott
Oh,
for his year as chairman of the board. We have never had somebody be so forthright and honest in all the years that I've
And our
been watching.
ratings went up right through the roof. We're number one in cable TV right now.
In all sincerity, I want to thank you, Peter, for your service.
And he did a
on the
great
board.
job.
Thank
We're
you.
looking
Really
forward
did.
to 2 more years
Oh,
with you
yeah.
here.
Thank you for
You did a great
sincerity.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you. With the exception of me, I don't think I've seen anyone as honest as you.
Stay the hell out of church.
Oh, honest is,
You, hugs later.
Hugs. No handshake, hugs, okay.
All right, board appointments, Community Preservation Committee. We looking for a nomination for anybody?
I think
For
Rich-
CPC?
I think Richie can handle this one, right?
Yeah, community preservation. What boards, what
You're on that one. so-
committees are we looking at?
Oh,
CPC, Magic Representative, Master Plan Implementation Committee to be a joint, meeting with the Selectmen June 5th, so that one we're all, hopefully we can all make the June 5th meeting.
Community preservation, who was on this last time? Was it?
Jamie was present.
I had a really hard time making those meetings. They're scheduled so last minute. And I understand that, but they're usually like Wednesday.
What day?
Nights
I was
and
going to say which day of the week.
Yeah, usually Wednesday nights. And they're usually like scheduled pretty last.
Are they,
Right, and it kind of varies depending on the members' availability.
And if something's going on, too.
So you can work around that, and you'll be a member, you can steer and,
in the fall, from September to almost Thanksgiving, I teach Mondays and Wednesdays.
well, then make it a Tuesday or a Thursday then. Talk them into a Friday or Sunday
Don't
morning.
make it a
Are we
After
able
church.
to have
I could,
an alternate for that position?
no,
or-
I can do Tuesday and Thursday.
All right, we'll just work it out with them. Good.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
can do
good.
Tuesday.
So
That's
you
a
like
great
that?
idea. That's a great idea.
I nominate,
Richard for
Rick?
CPC. Can I have a second?
I'll second that one.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Magic. In the past, our admin has done this. Been
Well, it's-
representative at Magic.
Yeah, it's midday, most of
Yep.
them. Yeah.
is that a paying thing?
I was there today for 2 hours.
You get paid?
Only she gets a
Well, yeah,
salary here.
company
she doesn't
time.
get paid.
Not extra, but
Yeah, it's part of our, yeah, our deal.
Who's ideal?
Your planning board, yeah.
Oh. You up for that?
I'd be happy to do it.
Okay.
So I'm looking for a nomination and a second.
Didn't you just nominate her?
I didn't, I just said she did. I'm the chair. I'm not
All right, I'll make that nomination.
Thank
So
you,
be
Richard.
it.
Second.
Yeah, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I tried to be first, but he decided to do it.
I got it. I gotta keep my, my mouth a little bit closed.
Right. So Master Plan Application Steering Committee to be appointed at joint meeting with the Selectmen on June 5th. Applications due by June 2nd. So hopefully, the 5th, we can all be present at the Selectmen's meeting.
Yeah, I can definitely make that.
Do we have a time?
6:35 to start.
6:35.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have 2 discussions with the selectmen Monday night. First is, MBTA has set aside $1.5 million for additional parking at the train station. There is state land up against Route 2 that they're looking at using for additional parking for the commuter rail station. So they want to start that discussion with you, since it's been on your minds with the Grimes Lane issues. And then to interview and appoint members to the Master Plan Implementation Committee.
Will Green be present at the meeting on June 5th for the discussion about the parking?
I'm not sure if they are or not.
How about DPW engineer?
Let's see, I think Dave Guthrie's been invited, because he has property over there as well.
Ooh, good.
Understandable, but I'm concerned about.
What about
the entrance at
Nordblom?
Grimes Lane and.
Yeah.
And we figure that, so we've got 3 there, but I thought that the town engineer should be present as well. So if we could extend an invitation for him to be present, I think that would
Okay.
be important.
Yeah,
Green is probably the best solution. They've done, I think, 4 of our toughest roads in town so far, and they've done a great job on all of them.
right, and they've been retained by the T to help with the design work out there.
Okay.
What
Well,
about
they have
Nordblom?
them there on the T's dime, not ours.
It would be.
So if we have to do
Well, if we
anything
ask
to
them
that
to show
entry,
up.
What about, last one,
Make sure they don't double
Nordblom,
dip.
are they invited to this? Because they're the ones that have the
I'll check.
the
yeah, they
stuff
should,
now. It makes-
absolutely.
They're the ones who sold the land to the T to do what they've got now. Wouldn't it make sense to expand what's over there than try to go up Grimes Lane way into the back into what little piece the state has back there? Anyway,
Yeah, so I'm not sure how wide-ranging the discussion will be Monday night, but it's on the agenda
Okay.
to get started.
Who's,
you said 6:30?
Yes, about 6:35.
now, Nordblom, have they done anything with that land adjacent to 495?
No, they've got 2 approved subdivisions out there,
They-
and a cell tower and a bunch of other stuff, right?
Yeah. they're,
On that same piece of
Oh,
property?
yeah, they're,
When you say subdivisions, tell me more about that.
They have a commercial subdivision all approved, it's commercial land. They,
You said
What,
2
Mark?
subdivisions.
so
There's-
there have probably been
2 or
10 different
Mark
approvals
Donahoe
over the
made
last
made his
30,
living
40
on
years.
it.
See that? Their last approval predates my arrival to this board, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, they've got 3 or 4 different office complex. They had a cell tower site up there. They had
Soccer field,
soccer fields up there. They had a bunch of stuff.
What's the latest revision on that, do you know?
That's what we're doing.
They have an office complex, I think was the latest.
So we talk about that.
Yeah, so the
And then-
signature authority for bills and payroll.
Every year, we get the memo from accounting asking if you want less than a quorum of the board to sign payroll and bills. I've always recommended just to stick with the quorum. It seems to work. Every once in a while, I have to chase somebody for a signature, but
Yeah, this works fine.
I would agree that we should stick with it. It's worked well for the 2 years I've been here.
Yeah.
Gives us a chance to actually see where the rubber meets the road. Those are your timesheets.
So getting back to your question, Richard, I think the last thing they approved, they had an office complex with parking for the T and soccer fields up there. And the economy was such that they couldn't get, well, obviously, we're having trouble filling up office space. They sold the parking thing to the T, and they never built the soccer fields, if I remember correctly. And they still have an approval for an office complex up there. I think that's the last we saw, and that was probably 10, 12 years ago, something like that.
It predates me, yeah.
And the soccer fields are
They were gonna put in soccer fields as part of their mitigation.
for a town.
Yeah, for the town. They had a couple of soccer fields approved.
Is there a way that when these things come up and they say, well, this is what we're gonna do and da-da-da, if you give us, allow us to do this, we'll build you a field? Well, you're gonna build it, we're not gonna allow you to do that, but you're gonna build us a field whether you build that project or not.
That's a little tough one to enforce, because
Generally,
if we
at the
do this,
very end.
then you get that.
Yeah.
If we do this, then you'll get
Well,
that.
then someone comes in, I want this candy, I want that candy, I want that piece of cake. You taste it, nah, I don't like it so much, I want something different. I say, if they say this is what they're gonna give us in lieu of us making replications to them, then I say,
Well, we
build a
have council
field.
president. Does that sound big?
What, can we do that?
I I would have to defer to Chris Heap on this, but I certainly think that there would be ways that you could do it.
I mean, it's kind of like, remember the guy on Popeye, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today? Yeah, I want the hamburger, I want, no, you eat the hamburger.
But I guess, I mean,
More
it's,
papers to sign.
Oh, I do?
the tough thing, I mean, if they decide not to build it all, it's one, you could require that the mitigation be the first thing that's done in the project, but if they really decide not to build it all,
There's no linkage involved, so then
Right, I'm not-
you can't
yeah.
force them to do it.
right, it's
They
not.
said they would.
Yeah, but they would if they were gonna build the building. If they're not gonna build the building, then they're not gonna give you,
I'd say a situation that's different is where there's
They lied to you.
it's such a big project and there's so many moving parts that the developer actually enters into some kind of host community agreement with the town. In that case, there could be a requirement, they're doing that voluntarily, there could be some kind of requirement on them that regardless, they're gonna give you whatever.
So they're gonna give us X amount of acres regardless of what happens further down the road. Did you read something about that?
yeah, but that's, the difference with that is the town decided not to exercise their option. So there was an action and a reaction to it. The town decided not to
I tell you what, why
exercise
don't we
their.
move this to the end of the meeting, because I have other board business I'd also like to move to the end of the meeting, but
Okay.
first, let's get through the minutes. Can I get a motion for approval of the minutes for February 16th,
Thought I was a
2017?
slave master.
I know, he's bad.
Oof. Can we revote?
So
You're
moved.
mean.
So moved.
And second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Guys?
Minutes approved? You voting, yes? No?
You-
Yeah,
Are you voting with your mouth or your eyes?
I'm scared.
Jesus.
Inclusionary zoning contract extension with RKG Associates. Before we make this vote, I'd like to ask, who is going to be our representative for RKG? Who-
this is not moving forward, this is going backwards. This is, in order to, the contract with RKG has expired. In order to pay their last bill, we have to extend the contract through June 30th, and that way we can pay the last bill that we've already received. Moving forward, we would hope to write a new contract. I'm not sure if Judy is available or not, and we'll find out shortly.
I think that we would have had more success with the proposal before town meeting had she been present to assist
Yeah.
in the presentation.
Yeah, I was surprised that she wasn't there.
She had another meeting to go to that night. She stayed till 8:00.
Well, we need to make sure that she's there the next time.
Yes,
Or
absolutely.
whoever the
Right.
representative were.
Yeah.
Right.
That was why I asked.
Right.
We need to
So we will
rework
need a
it,
new
just-
contract for a new amount moving
Alright, So
forward.
this
is
contract
just-
extension is just to pay an outstanding bill.
Yeah, right.
And how much is the bill for?
Master plan for $2,050.
Can I get a motion? Contract extension.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
I was gonna say no, and then when she showed up, then we'd give her the check, you know?
So is that an aye?
Yes.
Yeah, right in the eye. I like her, she's a nice woman, very, very professional.
Let's see.
On bills and payroll, so, some new board business that I want to discuss. There's a developer in town that I spoke with briefly, along with a couple of the members of the Board of Selectmen, also some people from the Housing and Senior Services. That discussion I would like to have at the end of the meeting, so, just to continue board business,
Why'd you bring it up?
so that we could have, because it's, so you didn't close the meeting on me.
That's so that we'll all.
Anyway, we're 5 minutes over.
Got it.
7:10, you're supposed to start stormwater regulations. Need discussion. Stormwater regulations.
I don't know how many of you have met Rebecca Lacy. Rebecca's
I
from...
feel like I know you all now, but we have not ever met yet. So I'm with Meares and Harrington and helped draft the stormwater bylaw that passed at last year's town meeting. And so we've drafted now regulations to implement the bylaw, which I know were distributed.
The, Rebecca, I've talked with you on the phone, haven't I? Richard Crowley. Over
I'm sorry.
contracts with the PMBC and stuff?
Oh, probably Jenny.
Jenny,
Merrill.
yeah,
Yep.
Jenny. Yeah. That's it.
While we're getting situated, Jamie, should we switch chairs and be located in the center and decide as chair?
Oh, yeah, that,
I asked you that early, and you said no. Now all of a sudden, oh, he's moving on. So soon you forget, you know?
you want to sit here, Peter, and I'll just move down, or where would you like to sit?
It's as far away from Ed, the taskmaster, as you can imagine. He's awfully mean lately.
Oh, so I have to move.
Oh, you better move over.
Still stuck next to you?
Jesus.
I think.
I wanted Peter.
Well, you,
Give me that.
wait a minute.
Name?
Where's, the vice chair should be at the right-hand man,
I
right?
always thought Ed was gonna stay where he was, and then,
Jamie would come over to the...
yeah.
You're the one that moved down there. You screwed it up.
Peter, you can be next to me.
This seat's hot.
Sorry for this.
I don't know.
In your meeting
I know.
packet is the regulations.
And, you know, one mandate that you have to keep in the back of your head, Ed, is, you know, prior to Peter leaving as chairman and with Mark as his sidekick, we had the highest ratings in the TV in the town. We want to see if we can maintain that rating.
So we should seat them next to each other.
Yeah, but I wasn't the vice chair, he was the vice chair.
Yeah, but you were, how would you say it? Let's see, the most I won't say the word comical. It wouldn't be that
Well,
way.
I wouldn't say comical.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
wouldn't
well,
say
that's
that.
good. Let's keep moving.
All right, doing my part to make people switch to another channel. I will introduce the draft stormwater management and erosion control regulations. So just to refresh everyone's memory, at last year's town meeting adopted a stormwater management and erosion control bylaw, which was to bring the town into compliance with its federal and state stormwater, its joint federal-state stormwater permit, commonly known as the MS4 permit, which allows the town, which allows it to rain on the town, and allows the town to discharge stormwater into surface water bodies. The bylaw requires that any construction project or any other land disturbing activity other than agriculture that disturbs more than an acre of land be subject to basically the same design standards that the board already applies for stormwater management and erosion control. The board applies to subdivisions already, and also that the COMCOM applies to wetlands, which is the Massachusetts, the DEP developed stormwater management standards. So the proponent will need a stormwater permit from the planning board, and so these regulations are just to facilitate the permitting process. The intention is that the process be consolidated with whatever other permits they need from the planning board, site plan review, whatever else. So you have the draft regulations. I'll just make a couple comments on them. There are sort of overly involved sections on peer review consultants and on surety, but the reason for all the detail in those sections is that there are statutes that give the board the authority to make applicants pay for peer review consultants and to make applicants provide a cash bond. So the statutes have certain requirements, and all the detail in the regs is intended to comply with those statutory requirements. And the regs, I also want to note that the regs add to the design in general, the bylaw states the design standards, and those are just, again, it states them by referencing the Massachusetts stormwater standards. The one addition that the regs make is to have heightened requirements for any project that's going to discharge into impaired waters. Waters that have some kind of water quality problem, and that's something that's required by the town's stormwater, state and federal stormwater permit. And something that the board should definitely discuss is the fee schedule. We just threw in some numbers that are somewhat in line with other permits that the board grants, but that's, completely a policy decision for the board, so it's something that you guys should definitely talk about and decide what numbers you want to set. So that's my spiel. Did folks have questions?
When does this actually take effect?
Technically, the bylaw is already in place. I don't think anyone's come in yet for a stormwater permit. Yeah.
Right. The bylaw is in place. The regulations would be enacted after you vote on them. I would recommend leaving, comment period for public input, have a public hearing at your next meeting, and just take any input that you get then, and make revisions if needed, and adopt them at the next meeting.
When you say an acre, disturb an acre, it's basically, is that based on 1,500 feet at 30 feet wide for a road? Is that how they come up with that? Because most of our stuff, you need 30 feet wide for telephone lines and everything else for access to them. Is that how you come up with the 1 acre of disturbance, or how do you measure it? How do you measure 1 acre of disturbance?
That's a good question. So that's the number, that's like EPA's number. I think it may even, so it's in the EPA regulations, it may even be in the Clean Water Act statute, in the stormwater requirements, part of that. How you measure it, I guess, would be, limit of construction, in a CAD drawing.
So if I go to build a house, and we have a 1 acre building lot requirement, I have to go to stormwater.
Only if you're gonna regrade the entire lot.
Well, I'm disturbing it. Well, it's an acre. My job site isn't 1 acre. I want to know how you guys determine what an acre constitutes.
We can make that determination in this bylaw.
What, are we rewriting it?
You have, if a project has a planning board review under site plan or a special permit or subdivision, these regulations don't apply because you already have.
Oh, no, they do apply.
Well, they apply, but you don't need the separate application.
You do.
You do, okay.
They can be combined.
Okay.
With subdivision, the issue is just like the stormwater, like for subdivision, the stormwater review requirements won't be any different. 'Cause, for site plan, they are going to be more heightened than what is currently required in site plan.
So this is more to keep us in compliance with the state. We're already doing 99% of this. Site plan, special permit,
Right.
everything we do now.
And there might be one odd giant building lot that doesn't get roped into the process through subdivision, through site plan, or through any of the other special permits you issue that could trigger the need to use this.
We had to enact this so that the state saw that we have it, because all of our drainage was technically illegal because we weren't getting stormwater management from all the town sewer, the town drain lines and everything dumping into the lakes. That's why we had to do this.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was
Yeah, this is
the-
one
Keep us
piece
in
of it.
compliance.
Because of the town road drainage
Right.
systems,
Right.
not the individual properties.
Right, so that's why we had to do this.
Town roads and town facilities as well.
Yeah.
Right, so now we have to make sure, and we're already doing it in our site plans and our special permits anyway.
For most.
private.
For
For
most.
most sites, right.
For most
Yeah.
sites.
Could I just interrupt 1 second? Could I ask whoever came in last to go back and close the door that's left open?
Yeah. Did we do this with the, over by the railroad station, the
Jerkies?
Durkee's place? I don't think we did.
Well, that's part of
No.
what Green does, that's the drainage and the stormwater management for that.
Well, what would be the vehicle to link this to a project like Durkee's?
You would need that application after the bylaw took effect.
So, didn't their application come in after? No, it
No,
might have,
this-
might have come in before, that's right. So, have we had any big projects come in after? That, see, I'm wondering, that I can't remember this being linked to any of the projects we've done.
Correct. That's right. You're looking to.
So looking forward,
Forward,
what's
right.
going to be the vehicle for linking this into our projects?
Well,
I mean, it's just a question of making developers aware, it's a requirement, so, you publicize it, make developers aware of it, put it on the website and so forth, and when people come in for permits that they already know they need, you can educate them at that time that they also need this.
Right, it's just another required application process.
So do we have a map or a road map on when people come in to pull a permit? What the different steps to the permit process is for them, depending on what the size project is for them?
Yes,
We do have that
Yeah.
upstairs. It's a,
well, no, it's a discussion. It's not a,
It lives in Mars.
we should probably have something like that in writing.
well, it's always up to the developer who they go to first. And there are so many dependencies on the project itself and the land itself, that it's hard. Once you write one down, there's
Yeah.
15 different ways that you don't have it go that way.
We should have a procedure that's very simple and it's very clear and published somewhere.
Peter, can I ask you to silence your phone, please?
Oh, you keep it up, fuzzball.
You're having way too much fun with this.
Already power hungry son of a. I'm gonna have to get back.
That's something we could definitely work with you on. It's always a little tricky because the more, fundamentally, it's the developer's responsibility to read the regulations in their entirety and comply with them in their entirety, and so, you always run the risk if you simplify things and you leave out detail, then.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Richard, to help you help answer that question, Richard, the town does have an online permitting, and you can apply online, and it walks you through the permit process there. And this could be added to that online application.
Yeah, because I'd like to see our process be user-friendly. Not-
It really is. I just got a building permit to change a door in my house, and it took minutes.
Okay, and if you ended up having to trigger this, because this is tied to the NPEDS permit too. NPDES permit.
Tied to it in the sense that it's required by the town's NPDS permit, yeah.
Correct.
Well, and also if someone's disturbing more than an acre, then they're gonna need a NIPD's construction general permit.
Yeah, so we, for first-timers through the system, they would never know that. So we really should have a guideline.
That's why we have the single point of contact for municipal expedited permitting,
Which is you.
which is me.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, yeah. All right, I'm requesting that we put something down in writing, though, a matrix.
Okay.
Okay, we can certainly help with that.
If this, yes, if that, no, then you go over here. Something very clear.
So,
All right.
Appendix A, the stormwater permit fee schedule, last page of the packet. In my opinion, for a small town like this, it's some pretty hefty numbers that are being, I know they're just placeholders currently, but I would want to seriously consider reducing those numbers for the applicants in our town. I don't know if anybody has any concerns with that, but they seem like,
Where are you?
I know, last page of the packet, second to last page of the
Page
packet.
9.
Yeah, and the idea with fees is that they should generally reflect the amount of staff time it takes to review. And it's always hard to do a guesstimate, but
Right.
that's certainly up for discussion.
Where did these fees, these were just pulled from other,
I just looked at some other fees that the town that the board charges, like for site plan review and so forth, and like a couple other towns charged. But as I said, they were just sort of round numbers that I threw in. They have no special, they're not like, they have no justification that I didn't ask Maren about expenses or anything like that, so.
So way back when these were developed, Maren, that's what they were based on, is a guesstimate as to how much time you'd be spending on, say, a single-family home and so forth.
For our existing fees, for these suggested fees, Rebecca said she just went to some,
For them,
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
so,
then,
Well, you accept it.
then should we have you look at these and see if these are in line with the amount of work that you think you might need?
I'd be happy to.
Ed, that all right with you?
Works for me.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Why don't we tie them to the aquifer water resource fees we're getting now, see what those are, and keep them in line with what we're already charging?
Yeah, if you remember on
commercials.
those, we've kept those artificially low because we didn't want that to be a barrier for application.
It's not the way we still want this. This is more housekeeping for the town that's now the developer's getting stuck, caught in the middle, having to do, because we have to do it.
Right, I mean, you're gonna add, another fee to the process. I just wanna make sure that we're taking into consideration all parties involved, so. I don't want staff to be working for free and it costing the town money at the same time. I don't wanna be.
Right. Let's see what we're already charging and
So
see
we'll
if
get-
that's in line with this.
So I'll be looking
Sure.
for a continuation of discussion at our next meeting.
One more question, could I?
We're way behind, so.
Where do we get the draft, the template from, for the stormwater? Did this come from the state, or did this come from,
Oh, these regulations, we drafted, our firm drafted.
they drafted? Now, was it based on the law? So is it, have we copied every requirement out of the law
It's just.
to create this?
It's just what in our judgment, was necessary to implement the bylaw. We didn't repeat, a lot of things are specified in the bylaw, so we didn't repeat any of that, but the bylaw didn't go into detail about, the application process. As I had mentioned, the two things that are required by statute are section 3.2 about the consultant, use of a consultant, and section 7 about the use of surety, cash bond surety. So those requirements are, use the statutory language to some extent.
Well, the reason I ask is because it looks like it might have been a template that was pulled from some other town. This here, on page 1, is talking about shellfish growing areas.
Oh, that's, on 2.4, the definition, that's a definition that comes from the state regs, I'm trying to think. State,
But do you have to keep all of that kind of stuff even though it doesn't apply?
I guess not necessarily.
Oh, is there anything else like that in here that might not apply?
I don't think so.
All right, let's, I think what we'll do is take Ed's suggestion, continue this, and then we'll take a look at this for things that won't apply for the town of Littleton, just to make it
So looking
as
for a
small as
motion to continue.
possible and as simple as possible.
Continue this hearing to our next meeting.
Yeah, kind of.
I'll make a motion to continue this till the next meeting.
Great.
Second?
All those in favor?
I need a second.
Aye.
Aye.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What do you need? I'm sorry, the lady was put my down today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rebecca, good work.
Nice to meet you.
Item 4, 7:20, we are 20 minutes behind schedule. 15 anyway.
What is this one?
Should get them all out of there.
Oh,
Here it is.
let's see.
Thanks again.
Ed,
Thank you.
Could I ask,
Hold on, Cricket Lane A&R, review an A&R update vote. Reference plan, what do we got?
Cheryl Booth, the applicant, Victor and Charles Sandball in the back, everyone knows of that. We were here last month and we had an interaction and discussion about it being approved. And you asked us to take off an easement that was shown on the plan. I did check with the engineer, the easement that was shown on the plan was a septic fill easement, and it was reserved in case it was needed. We can always get a septic fill easement placed back later. You were worried that the easement allowed some passage to another lot, so we removed it just so there'd be no question. And as you recall, you're going to sign the plan as amended today, and then we have to come back yet on a shared driveway special permit before there's accessibility to the lot. We're going to come back and do that. So I'll just ask you to sign the A&R.
Any discussion?
well, I wasn't here at the last meeting. It looks pretty straightforward. Were there any
The
issues?
only issue we had before, there was an easement shown that it looked like it would grant access to the largest parcel on the southern part of the plan, so they removed that easement so it can access, even though it was just a septic fill easement, it could have been used as an access easement, so
Okay.
they removed it for the A&R.
Richard, the question was whether or not the right-of-way predated zoning and whether they could use it for this one lot.
Is this the one that has come before us a long time ago? Keeps coming back?
Yeah,
Good, so finally, we're gonna give them a house on that lot.
yes, thank you.
Good.
And, I'm sorry, and it also has upgrading the driveway to,
At least give us some sort of
That-
turnarounds and.
Yeah, that'll come back as a shared driveway special permit before we pull a building permit.
well, is that part of our, I don't, I want to make sure that that's something that's going to happen.
We have to because Roland can't
It's a
give us a
building
building
permit
permit
requirement.
until we have that shared driveway special permit.
Good.
You sure that covers our base, right, Maren?
Yeah, I don't know.
Fire
how you-
department review also
Right,
would catch it,
for an
so.
A&R, you either endorse it or not, there's
Right.
All right.
hard to.
I'm looking for a motion to
Oh, I
approve
see.
the A&R plan as presented.
I'll,
I'll make a motion to approve the A&R
Okay.
for symbol as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
good.
Thank you.
That's been about 4 years in the works.
What? Go back and sit in the middle where you
Who was giving
Go
us
sign it first.
stick in the mud last time, 4 years ago?
You put a,
I don't
hey, you know
think we've ever
what?
brought
Since you're now chairman, you have to
We've
put a
never
real
brought it
signature. It
formally,
can't just
we've
be a
always
Z.
brought it as an.
not a Z, it's
No, it's gotta be a real
It's
signature,
Good thing.
with a real
It needs to be
signature,
legible so we know it, and
so we can go after you. No, it can't be a Z.
then write it afterwards, put it down
No, you
afterwards.
gotta have more than
You're
an
gonna be
E.
like Prince, a little something, you don't know who it is, something indelible.
can't-
know exactly who that is.
I say we call him Prince from
No,
now
I
on.
think we need to get an interpretation whether that's a legitimate signature. I think we investigate Mr. Mullen to make sure that his signature is legit. Where'd town council go? She's still here?
No, she's okay.
Just an E, isn't it? Is that your legal? You can sign important documents like that?
I ain't drinking.
Actually, if
What is that, because you were in special class and you didn't learn the rest of the letters?
you wouldn't mind signing 2 of the paper copies.
I'd be happy to down here at the end, you know.
Is,
Down here at the
The
Ferris
second.
Bueller end.
no, today's the first or second? Second.
Here's the first one, I think.
2016.
Congratulations.
See if I ever tell you anything again.
He's on
I'm mad. Oh. Oh, I hear him leaving. I'm quitting.
Say a word.
I never said I heard it from her.
He said Sharon
Swear,
told me.
swear,
No, I didn't.
swear it wasn't me.
I know it wasn't.
Ah, you're all on my list.
You know, 2 people keep a secret,
We signed these two?
Telling one of them.
one of them's dead. That's how it works. Ain't that right, Maren? That's a code in Montana, ain't it? Uh-huh.
I swear.
That's it. See if I'm moving.
I was Montana, didn't you go out? No, you went to
Fighting words.
Zion?
I'm sitting down in the chump corner.
Saying that you said you're chump.
All in?
No, I'm in.
You've been fighting with me
I'm in
all night.
I'm in detention.
Oh,
over
here.
Detention over here. Even Peter doesn't want to sit next to me. No, I'm being good. No candy. Get the candy away.
A little better, sure.
I did say that. You just got hard of hearing.
Can we revote?
Are we done now? Can we go home?
Hey, can we revote?
Why?
He hasn't been chairman for 40 minutes. We're behind schedule by 30, and he's awfully mean.
It's because you let Richard talk. All right, Richard, go back to your side.
Candy?
I'm not the stuff. Oh, I have to do this stuff? I didn't know I had to read.
And you brought the wrong glasses, that's the best part.
Yeah. You ready? Tell me when it's my turn there, boss.
All right, item 5,
No. Candy there,
7:30,
that's
public
mine.
hearing, 519 Great Road. Public hearing, so we're looking for a public reading.
The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 1st, that's today, at 7:30 in room 103 of the Town Hall, 37 Shattuck Street, to consider the application for a special permit modification pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, in the Code for the Town of Littleton zoning. The applicant is in for an Aquifer and Water Resource District, Section 17361 through 17364, special permit to allow a diesel generator at the Littleton Water Department cell tower site for Cello Partnerships doing business as Verizon Wireless. Property location is 519 Great Road, Assessors Map R18, Parcel 14-1. Owner is the Town of Littleton Water Department. Applicant, again, is Celco Partnerships doing business as Verizon Wireless. The applicant requests permission to install and use a diesel generator for backup power within the Aquifer and Water Resource District. Applications and the plan can be viewed at the Littleton Planning Board and Town Clerk's office during regular business hours. Any person interested in or wishing to be heard on this proposal, this plan should appear at the time and place designated. The Town of Littleton does not discriminate on the basis of disability. Further, a signed translation of this public hearing will be provided for the hearing appeared upon request by contacting the planning board office 1 week prior to the meeting. Mark Montanari, clerk.
You left out a lot of words.
No, I did not. I left
We
it
added
alone.
a few.
We're moving on.
Expedited. This is expedited permit.
All right.
I left a few thes out.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, and who do we have before us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, Victor Manugian from McLean Middleton for Celco Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless, and Chip Fredette from SAI Communications. He's the site act responsible for getting this site for Verizon. And Tyler Haynes, a colleague of mine from my office, and Neam Soul from Hudson Design Group that did the drawings. I didn't bring a brown bag. I didn't know that was your procedure. I apologize. Next time.
Ooh.
I had a line for that. I can't, you want our ratings to stay up, dude. You gotta jump on these things.
Well, the brown bag isn't usually full of candy, so.
That's, I didn't know you could say that with the tape and the cameras, but okay.
Candy wouldn't have lasted, I love candy.
So, just quick summary where we are. Mr. Fredette filed on his own for a building permit back in January. We tried to jump in and do the eligible facilities request under federal Section 6409 of the Middle Class Relief Act, saying that it should be building permit only. And rightfully so, we found out at that point through Marin that we needed to come here for a special permit because we're in the Aquifer Water Resource District. So we've submitted our drawings. We are putting in addition to the antennas that are on the tower, on the ground, we have a 10 by 12 concrete pad, which will be covered by a 10 by 12 ice canopy to protect the equipment. The equipment will consist of 2 equipment cabinets, a GPS unit, a cam lock, and obviously the main reason we're here, the diesel generator, along with the containment pan, as proposed in the diagrams. When we first submitted this, we submitted Verizon's precautionary spill containment measures that they do all the time. We then, with the help of your planner, we received feedback from the Concom that had no concerns, I believe the police that had no comments, and then the water department that had some important comments that we took back to our client and addressed, and we since then submitted the revised fueling procedure for delivery and installation of the fuel into this diesel generator, which has a 54-gallon double-walled tank, in addition to the containment under it in case there is any spillage. So we're asking that you approve that so we can get online. As you know, we're a subtenant of Crown Castle, and Crown Castle leases from the water district. And Chip told me today that the water district gets half of the co-location fee. So that's going to be money to the water district from us as soon as we get our building permit.
What's redundancy now? What is Crown Castle using for their backup generator?
You want to take that?
Again, Chip Fredette here on behalf of Verizon Wireless. So Crown Castle does not have any equipment on site per se. They're just the tower owner, as you may know. T-Mobile is the one tenant up there now, and I don't believe they have a generator at this point. It's Verizon policy that we have an emergency backup generator at every one of our sites.
What about natural gas? Isn't there gas on Great Road?
I didn't see gas out on Great Road. That'd be one heck of a long run to get back there.
How often do you run the generator?
Once a week, 20-minute cycle as required by or as recommended rather by the manufacturer. In this case here, it's a Polar DC gen. On occasion, we'll use a Generac AC generator. In this case here, again, we're going with the smaller unit, 15 kW. Again, cycles once a week for 20 minutes, and then only operates in the event of an emergency. In fact, there's actually, I don't get the nuances of the equipment, but there's actually a battery backup in the radios themselves, which will cover about 6 to 8 hours worth of downtime.
6 to 8?
6 to 8 hours, about a business day, if you will. And then only at that point, after those batteries die, would the generator kick on and then provide us with about 48 hours. Depending on the usage, it would demand more
Have you
horsepower.
selected a time and day that it would run? So it would
No,
be
it's-
a weekend or an after-hours run?
We-
I know you're quite a distance away, but
Yep.
still, somebody's going, in the middle of the night going, what's that?
Yep, so for what it's worth, the sound
They don't ever hear it.
out of this is at 23 feet at 64 dB, comparable to a clothes dryer or a dishwasher. Now, yes, no one will ever, I don't think everyone will hear it, but we're happy to schedule at a time that you guys see fit. We do that routinely. As you'd guess, when we do church steeple co-locations, we don't schedule them for Sunday mornings during
Right.
Mass. So, there are different cases for each site that make it appropriate, so.
It would be my request that it just be during the week and
Yeah.
during business hours.
Yep,
The problem is, this is the most sensitive site in the town of Littleton. You're right on top of our wells.
right.
This is and we knew that going in, that's what we cited we cited a cell tower there, knowing, because of the topography there and everything else, so
It's a-
you're gonna have to be real careful with, I know they've cut down the amount of fuel to bring at any one time because of the condition of the road.
So you're behind, you're by the,
Behind Dover Saddle and all of that back there.
how do you get to this thing? You have to go through the
Right,
Yeah, the
right,
gate.
you call in advance. So the fueling plan that we originally prepared, that Verizon Wireless's environmental compliance officer prepared, was revised slightly by Littleton Water District's in-house environmental scientist. And some of the highlights of it include notification to the Littleton Water District, refueling can only happen during business hours. The plan, as we had drafted and is revised, requires that there be Verizon Wireless operations personnel and Littleton Water District personnel on site during refueling. Of course, the refueling vehicle can only be a pickup truck, not a full-size fueling truck. Yeah, it can only carry 100 gallons at a time, which is what those tanks in a three-quarter ton pickup would hold anyway. They get to lay out their spill kits beforehand, perform the refill, and off they go. The generator itself, again, is a double-walled tank. So when Verizon in-house approved use of diesel here, they said it needed to have tertiary containment, 3 levels of containment. So the initial belly, the backup belly, and then we had to add this containment pan with the petro pipe outflow. In essence, it's a filter that in the event of a spill, the fuel goes down into the pan, and then in the event that rainwater came up above that level, rainwater would drain through, the fuel does not. In fact, if you go on YouTube when you're bored, and you look at one of these petro pipe outflow videos, it will tell you that, go for it.
I'm just gonna screw with you saying I'm bored right now. Hey, you have that for the rating.
I'll keep going, man. I'm the best thing for insomnia. 1 part per million of hydrocarbon on the outflow through one of these devices.
So this is the pan.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this other drawing shows a cover for the
Yep.
pan.
Yep, steel
can-
grate cover. Yep.
How can that collect?
It's a steel grate.
Overflow.
It's a grate.
The cover only is like an H, goes out and around it. The generator sits on top in the middle. Spill drains straight down into the pan. Pan's 90 gallons.
So this is bigger than the generator all around.
Yes. Yep.
How much, a couple inches?
Good question. Do you have the?
Well, the fuel is already in secondary containment anyway, it's in a double-wall tank.
Right.
Everything else is in a containment vessel as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, but this
Yeah.
is for the guys who fill it and then walk off.
So that's that third layer of
Yeah.
containment in the event we leak through the first tank, second tank, and then into that. That's covered with steel, with steel covering there to prevent a lot of rain from getting in. Of course, the whole equipment, 10 by 12 area, will also be covered by a canopy. So it'd have to be a driving rain coming from the side. The operations technician responsible for this site, who's also responsible for other ones, will come out routinely, check it, and drain the rainwater, open the valve and drain the rainwater himself.
How does the diesel get in? Say you have if someone's filling it and they overfill it. And somebody's filling the tank and they overfill.
Yep.
Then you have a spill.
Yeah,
It'll
they
go
put
into
up,
the secondary containment.
well, it would go into a spill kit that they've laid out. They've got these,
Would it not go down the sides of the tank and into this?
There's a spill kit. laid out
it
to
would,
prevent it.
and they also lay out a, what the heck, I forget what it's called, I apologize. There's like a spill boom, right here, a spill boom that they lay out. They drag the hose across the spill boom, so even if there's a leak in the hose, it's caught.
Now, you're backing up to the Sportsman's Club, right?
Close, right?
Is that on the backside?
Yeah, we hear all the
Yep,
guns going on.
yep.
Just wondering,
Yes.
stray bullet, it's this containment.
Be a hell of a shot.
Well, I mean, if you aim, you're pretty good at
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
There's no
that's what you're trying to do.
stray bullets over there.
Anyway, this is containment we've approved everywhere else.
Pretty recently, yeah.
Sounds like,
I don't see an issue.
I don't,
No.
What was, you mind if I answer a question, sir?
No, please, go ahead.
There was a statement, you said that the cores, that something to do with cores, the Littleton Water Department gets half the core money?
co-location funds.
Co-location.
Yeah.
What's that?
Co-location. They get half the fees at the generator.
The water department gets half the fee.
So we
Half the fee.
We pay monthly rent to Crown Castle, and half of that goes to the water department. Because it's on water department land that Crown Castle is leased from the water
There's
district.
something.
Yeah, there was a stipulation in the
We're-
lease between Crown and the water
subleasing.
district, yeah.
Huh. Who owns Crown?
They're the ones
People,
who built the tower.
publicly traded company.
Some people
Tower,
just come and put in
The
towers.
people.
Good answer. Good
They're
answer.
not a wireless carrier, they're a tower.
Yeah.
We have deals like this on all the towers.
Any more comment from the board?
No, I'm good, yeah.
Any comment from the public? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the special permit as presented.
What?
Can I close the hearing first?
Like a motion to close the hearing before we take a vote?
So
Rookie
moved.
mistake.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now I'll be looking for a motion to approve the plan, that special permit as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Ayes have it.
Very good.
Does this mean our bills will go down?
Thank you.
Can neither confirm nor deny that.
The question always comes up.
Yeah,
It's
Should've got- should've got
every
the-
water district I work.
Should've got the brown bag.
How tall is the tower back there?
100 feet.
150 feet.
No,
Oh, that's
no, it's 100 feet.
100, 150?
T-Mobile's at the top, and we're gonna be at 120. The center line of our antennas is gonna be at 125.
Verizon's going to be below?
Yeah,
If the second one's in.
it has nothing to do with that. That's what the RF engineers determined they need. Height doesn't always matter on cell towers.
Yeah, I'm not a tall man myself.
Bigger isn't always better.
All the time, so.
I got no problem looking up at tall women.
I get to the math sites more often.
I
This
know.
is more fun than Maine.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
It's ratings week, that's why. We're in the middle of sweeps.
Nielsen's are out here checking us out.
Check us out too.
Well, the circumstances.
All right, item 6, 8 o'clock. Oh, we're ahead of.
So the other gentleman is the one that builds the towers, is that correct? You build the towers, you...
Civil engineer, civil design.
Oh, I see.
Drew all the plans for you.
All right.
Will you get paid more if you said something tonight?
No.
Just checking.
You get paid more if you say nothing?
Get paid either way.
All
I
right.
want your job. Yeah, you hiring? I can draw. Stick figures. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck. Richard's having candy, look at that.
It's a first.
Yeah.
Be
Are you
long.
off your diet? How come?
Nope, I'm on a diet. I'm
Have to
not
go
eating.
You
one.
really haven't had even one.
Not one, I've been good.
Shakes arrived last week.
Eating down, I guess you can eat them all. You and Mr. Cannon. Don't send them this way again. I'll leave it.
So, if you have a minute, I had sent around by email the draft Wilson Lane agreement. Didn't know if you guys had any comments on it, or if I should resend that.
I have it, I have read it, I'm doing other things this whole week, so I had it off.
Wilson Lane,
That's the shared residential driveway off of Crane Road.
that we got one.
12A, it's number 12A. Is that-
Oh, that one, I thought that one, did I send something back already? I thought I did.
No,
it
that's
was-
not 12A.
Oh, which one's?
No.
That's, Wilson Lane is the shared residential driveway off of Crane Road. The
Ordered
town
in
has a
place, we-
small bond that's not going to cover
Cover the
the full
replacement.
amount.
And the road has to be removed, or the driveway has to be removed, it can't be repaired.
Rebuilt, right, to fix the drainage problems.
And one
Chris,
person named Lou, I believe, isn't happy with the wordage.
well, I'm hoping to get the rest of the comments by tomorrow. If you guys have any changes to make in that, to recommend in that agreement, I need to be able to share that with them as well.
I was under the impression that the town went in, we looked at it, we said what we can do, we said what we will do, and if it doesn't follow those criteria, then we walk. And then what ends up happening is the contractor gets his money back, and these people are stuck with their road the way it is. It's not our fault. Correct.
Right, we have two options. We can do the work, with the help of, working together with the neighbors, or we can give the money, the bond money back to the
Right, so that-
contractor. Those are the only two
Those are
things
the
we
two
have.
options. Well,
Wait a second, why are we giving the money back if there's deficiency in the road in the first place? Why are we even,
Here's,
It's not a road, it's a shared residential
but
driveway,
if
so we're
there's-
not under subdivision control law, so that's the problem. That's one of the problems. And-
what happened was the planning board, many years ago, decided to let certain things, didn't take enough bond for it. The building inspector was supposed to make sure that those things were taken care of before you offered, gave occupancy permits. And someone apparently did a song and a dance, and they bought it. So now, the guy was going to declare bankruptcy, said he was going to, so we had some discussions with
Town council.
Keith,
yeah,
and said, truthfully, I suggested, well, let's get the money from them. And I said, before the state gets a shot at it, if he does, and then we'll deal with it. Better us have the money
Right.
than the state have the money, and then the people have to go after that. So then we approached the homeowners, or the homeowners were, yeah, good word. So then ends up that we came up with an agreement that we would put the 17,000, is it 17 or 26? So basically, we got,
The bond is like 26.
yeah, we got the bond money. It's in the town coffers. And the only options are now is that the homeowners dish in the difference between the 26 and I think it's 48 or 54. They got to come up with $5,000 or $6,000 each.
Right.
In order to make up the difference. And that's to take care of the road, the driveway, the main driveway only, not their spurs off, correct?
Correct.
It has to be regraded,
Drainage.
drainage put in properly, and that's it. So their option as homeowners is to either pony up the difference or get nothing. That's pretty much their issues, and the town has said this, you have the money up front, and you put it in here, and if it's not in there, sorry.
But how are we even entertaining giving the money back to the developer?
Those are the only two options.
Right, town council advises those are the only two options that we have.
We can't give the money to,
We should have
Can't give
kept
them-
more money from them in the beginning,
Right.
and they never should have given them occupancy permits in the second.
That was the planning board's vote to accept the bond and allow the occupancy permits with the bond in place. And unfortunately, we didn't have it reviewed, and it wasn't enough.
It's
So right
also
now, the agreement, the draft
12
agreement,
years ago, probably,
Right.
right?
Say, when did that take place? Because I don't remember
12
that.
years ago, probably, yeah. 12
Regardless,
years ago.
none of us were on here except for one.
Yeah.
no, actually, that was, the bond was more recent than that. There's a draft agreement. The agreement will be between the homeowners and the Board of Selectmen, because the work would be done through the Highway Department. Just if you have any comments on the draft agreement, I need those as soon as possible.
Terrific. Okay.
I would say defer to
you
the
resend
town
that to
council
me?
and leave it at that.
Yeah.
But
All right, item 6, 8 o'clock, Cooper Farm Estates, construction update and a request from developer. Matt Field. In this case, Mike Field.
PM, good, right on time.
I have
Good evening.
accused myself from everything before now, shall I again?
The question is, should Peter recuse himself at this point from the farm? You've been recused from all along, so it would be my recommendation that you continue.
Continue that fashion? Taking my phone and I'm leaving.
Finish your phone.
I did finish it.
Can I have your candy, Pete?
You want my firstborn?
No, just candy.
Yeah, Richard, still is candy.
Right. And Eric and Tom are going to play from Green International
Yeah.
here as well,
Yeah. Welcome.
to help inform the discussion.
All right, John, thank you. Good evening, Jennifer Platt here on behalf of the Fields for Cooper Farm Estate, which we've started, which is fantastic. A couple of things we need to get your input and permission on. And we wanted to start at the top. I mean, how do you have it written up? So on our peer review estimate, Green International gave us a estimate for their peer review of 28,000. I understand that that's a not to exceed number. We are hoping that that number is actually going to be significantly less, given the role that the town plays in its review. We're going to have the Board of Health reviewing the septic system and the forced water mains. The town is going to be reviewing the electrical trenches. Town is going to be reviewing, the water department's going to be reviewing our water input. Just our guesstimate on how much time Green International will have to spend out on site
Or
reviewing what's going on, or reviewing our plans and being on site, we don't think we'll come to that total number. Again, I understand that's a high side number, but we'd like to.
Also, it's reviewing the over 55, it's just
Fair point as well, as Mike was mentioning. It includes some review for the over 55, which is
a private.
private development. So what we would ask is that for the initial amount that we need to pay to start this, that we start with some sort of lower number in terms of what they're going out of pocket.
Yeah, just tell them the number.
So, if you want to contribute 7,000 to get it started, I understood that we could do it in payments, in partial, some to get started, some later on, but would love some concession on that, just so we can get that going.
So you'd rather have us improve increments rather than one lump sum?
With a
that
lesser,
should work.
not to exceed number, is ultimately the question.
It's, it's going to be the same one way or the other. Whatever the cost is, it's going to come out the same. And either way, it'll be monitored and controlled so that, we don't have Breen there just standing around watching the birds fly. They're there for a purpose, and when their stated purpose is done, they leave. Eric, is that your understanding?
Yeah. Tom has done most of the field inspections that we performed for the other developments, Durkee, Bennett, McIntosh.
Yeah.
We follow the schedule the contractor or the developer provides us, and we follow the schedule outlined in the subdivision regulations. As you mentioned, we don't go unless we need to go, and we go for the critical milestone events. As you mentioned, we did phase our proposal, phase 1, 2, and 3, and the over 55 we added in based on some discussions with the board. But certainly, we would defer to the board in what you would like us to do in terms of level of effort. We've based our proposal and our estimates on all of the prior work we've done and what we've been asked to do in the past.
Okay. And has that estimate been shared with you guys?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any portion of that estimate that looks, that you see would not be necessary?
It's a lump sum, so it's not a line item by.
Oh, okay.
We can certainly revise that to be a phased proposal, and we broke out our, did you see our breakdown, our actual cost breakdown behind that, or just the proposal itself?
I believe I just saw the proposal.
Okay.
I
we-
didn't have it at the meeting
No.
with us, no.
So we provided a phased breakdown for phase 1. Tom, why don't you explain a little bit more detail?
Yeah, so each phase was broken out. One was for Cooper Farm and Vint Lane, and again, this was done not knowing their exact phasing, so if they were to do more in one construction season, and that would likely require less site visits and less hours and less budget. So Cooper Farm and Vint Lane was one phase, Field Lane was the second phase, and then the over 55.
Those are all going in.
Essentially, it's because
Simultaneously, aren't they?
just the way the contractor's doing it, there's a large cut in one area and a large fill in the majority of other areas. The ponds being built, initially we were going to start at the ponds 3 and 4, but it was a little bit wet. I mean, we had the wettest spring ever, so
Yep.
we've done ponds 1 and 2. So, I mean, we're working all, that whole portion, Field Lane, Bin Lane, and Cooper Lane, all at the same time right now, so.
And so what Tom was saying is that, so we assumed a phase, you do
Yep.
2 roads this year, 2 roads next year, so that's 2 visits. So if you're
Yep.
doing all the roads this year,
Yep.
then it's 1 visit.
Yep.
So if you have a schedule you could share with us, we could certainly review and evaluate and revise our proposal
Yep,
based on
based off that.
kind of what your schedule is, and I think it
I did
sounds
get
like.
the schedule from the site contractor, gave me a copy that I should have brought with me though.
And then we would defer to the board on what involvement on the over 55.
So my
review you'd like
recommendation,
us to have.
well, what we just
Well,
heard
I mean,
about,
I mean, we met once with him, I can go over and meet with him one time.
right, so my recommendation would be to share your proposal from your site contractor.
Yep.
One concern I do have along what we just discussed previously
Yep.
about a shared driveway and the shortcomings that the contractor had there, that some oversight should be done by our engineers, our consultants.
I'd like to say, given the issues that we've had with the past contractors that we're dealing with and the things that are going on, I think we should have more oversight than less. I don't want to see us drop it a penny until they're well on their way, especially in the design phases and what's going on now. Greens our eyes and ears, and, this is a multi-million-dollar phase to worry about. To be honest with you, $28,000 on the amount of work that's gonna go out there, I don't wanna tie Green's hands up at all. I wanna let them do it the way they see fit and not have to worry about pinching pennies, to be perfectly honest. That's, town of Littleton's, it's too important to worry about a couple of bucks here or there.
Yeah, it may seem like a lot of money, but I've written change orders for that amount, those amounts. So it's really not in the grand scheme of site work. However, if there's some way to exchange information so they can revise their prices.
Phasing
No
it, that
problem
would
with
be
efficiency, I
fine.
agree with that all along, but.
You know,
And I'll tell you, when we do it, we require a matrix that shows, who's going to be on site. It gives a number of hours and then comes the hourly rate, and it's all very clear. That way,
Yeah,
if
no one
it's,
wants to pay for consultants to come out there more than once. It's up to you guys to come up with a nice schedule for them, but I just want to make sure that we're not getting shortchanged by having to worry about a couple of
no,
bucks.
I understand that, and I understand that my engineer is ultimately responsible for the design and the as-built and all that as well.
And
I
as far,
take
and as far as the
credit for-
phased approach, I think, you can do it in payments as
Yeah,
well, because then you can
I
also
don't
have
have
some
a problem
control.
with that. If you
not
want to
to
do it in
exceed
phase,
that.
that's fine.
That would work fine.
yeah, so do you want
All right,
to
let's,
do,
all right,
like,
all right, I'm done with that.
do you want to approve want us to approve a lesser amount tonight, and then,
No, let's
No,
stick
I
with
think
the, let's stick with the numbers.
I think
Let's
they
just
did.
You said you had we could have a partial.
Yeah, our
something.
first phase, we estimated $7,500.
So unless you want us to review your schedule and see if there's anything we can.
for the final
No,
number.
it's just
and-
gonna cost
No,
me.
leave the number where it is.
No,
and
I'm
let
just
them
kidding.
do
Another
it.
number, but the phased approach and so.
I think that works. I think we have
I
a,
So I think we have an
Let them make it.
all right, so we don't need to do anything further then, right?
Okay.
nothing on that, but thank you very much for helping us walk through that issue. It was just
Okay.
good to have everyone in the same room, so appreciate that.
Uh,
Next issue on the agenda is dealing with the spacing between the lots in the 55 and over portion of the development. As you know, under the town bylaws, we're required to have 20 feet between buildings. And the way, I'll give you each a set of these plans that we're working on. The way these are set up, at the front corner of each lot, which is where, or each
Closest
property
point.
is the closest point, those will be at least 20 feet apart. There is a bump out for the stairs on each of these properties, halfway down the length of the building. I can point to where that is.
It doesn't increase the square footage to over 1,500 square feet.
So if we flip to the third page that has a photo of the house, you can see that there's a bump out, which is where the stairwell goes internally. And conceivably, it could be pushed in flush. It would just mean on the interior of the house, the room on the inside would be a much smaller passageway, and particularly when we're dealing with 55 and over, having that extra space to allow for maneuverability and a bit more openness in the floor plan is a big plus.
I'm okay with that.
So,
Yeah.
just so you know, the least it would be on the two properties that are exactly parallel would be 16 feet apart as opposed to 20. Most of them will be something between the 20 and
16.
16.
Good, I'm good.
The majority of them have they follow the radius of the road, so at the closest point, it's 20, and then towards the back of the houses, it could be as much as 30 feet. It just, I built this house on Oak Road, it's a two-bedroom house right now and I've brought in 25 couples, over 55 people. It's a small, the 1,500 square feet is what the town has for their over 55. It's smaller than most towns, but I think if we didn't have that bump out, it would close off the openness of the house too much.
It would make the distance between where the stairs end and then the next wall 6 feet, and this will give us 10.
I'm okay with that. I mean, the 20 feet between houses, that's, I don't know where that came from, but it just, code says
By the
5.
bylaw, I think that was the,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think there's a section in there that says what the bylaws
The
are.
the bylaw does say 20, and it will be corner to corner, it will be 20, but as the houses go back, that bump out will.
Why don't you, can you do this? Can you show us that you could do that bump out without putting a foundation underneath it? so that the actual foundation would be 20 feet.
So the
Then
most
we-
overhang I could have is, what's it, 2?
2 feet of conventional lumber, but you can get it in engineered lumber.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to go way
You'd have to go
inside.
in 3
But then you
pieces,
could just
2
show
times.
us that you
Or
could
You'd have to
do
go to the
it.
bare wall.
Mark,
You'd
it,
have to go to the center.
this,
We have the stairs
this
that
will,
go there.
it's
Or you
far,
don't have to go to the center
Far
for
simpler.
double up the 2
No, I'm not
corners.
saying they do it, I just want them to show us that they, if we had to make them live by the bylaw, that they could do it, that it's more of a hardship than anything else, and then
The
just let them do
bylaw is
it.
aerial also, it's not just foundation. It's overhang.
Maren,
Yeah.
is it just a question?
But they're not-
Is this a zoning board
I,
feels?
You have to go to the zoning board of appeals.
No,
in
as an
order to
over
close less.
55, I think.
that's our permit, that's our permit.
Special permit, I think you can.
I just wanted to know the,
Yeah.
bylaw, so.
No,
That's our jurisdiction, and I have, I like the idea of the open floor plan for the 55 and older residents of it.
I would like it if anybody wants to look at the house that's built, and they're more than welcome to go take a walk through it to see the floor plan of it. Initially, I did not have that bump out on it, and when I was getting ready to pour the foundation, I looked at,
You
I
need,
bumped it out.
yeah, you need that bump out, yeah. Why, you said you're limited to 1,500 square feet. That's in our bylaw too, our
That's in the bylaw.
55?
The majority of towns
Yeah.
in this area have up to 2,000 square feet.
Yeah.
But it is,
And-
it's designed to reduce someone's, they're
Cost of living.
downsizing.
It's a reduction of
Yeah,
cost of living, yes.
Yeah, but
And if they don't want 1,500 square feet, they have to go somewhere else. I
Yeah.
understand that.
I think that should be bigger.
The majority of people want
That's
to
not-
read.
That's a discussion for another day.
All right, but can we put that on the radar screen, Ed, to
Sure,
make it
absolutely.
bigger? And in this case, that's something else that we could amend too. We could allow you to build bigger than 1,500 square
Not
feet.
gonna help this situation.
No, I know, and we, we already have our model, the house that, we built this house. That was my one objection with it, is that, it would limit the openness of those 2 rooms.
Do these have full foundations?
They do.
Yeah,
Full foundations, so that bump out, does it, in the basement, wouldn't it increase the square footage of the whole structure then?
If it wasn't a bump out on the basement?
Yeah.
If you just had the overhang?
Is the basement finished?
No.
Okay,
I don't,
yeah. No, so it's all right.
I don't know if
The
in the
bylaw doesn't count the basement area.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Now, so it doesn't matter to
Oak
you,
Road?
so it doesn't matter to you guys if it's 1,500 square feet or more.
No, I think the 1,500 square feet's fine.
All right.
I do.
And
people-
and if you consider,
not- yeah, let's
if
not
you
muddy the
consider
waters.
something in the future, let's talk.
I think honestly, the 1,500, and everybody would love a ranch, but you cannot put 4
15.
ranches, 1,500 square feet per acre, have a road, have the offsets to the rear lot line, 25 feet, and have the
Yeah.
in-between 20
Yeah.
feet as well.
Yeah,
It just doesn't work.
Okay.
All right.
So,
we got that.
Perfect.
Do we need a vote on that?
well, I think we should get through
Yes.
all the items and then we can vote, or you want to vote on that one individually?
And then the last item was, in the planning board covenant, you had allowed us to build 4 spec homes. We're actually,
I think we're fine.
We're fine.
We're fine. We're fine.
and we're fine with
It
it.
says from 3 to 5.
Yeah.
And we
3
already
for the-
have 4.
We
So-
have 3 in the.
3 in the open space and
And
1 in the
one model.
55 and over. We were considering asking for an additional 1 in the 55, which we are not.
You could ask it and just not need to
You
build
can-
it if
you
you
can
didn't.
ask. you do not have to build
All right,
it.
fine.
Matt-
Can we have one more model home and the regular one?
Okay, so
Now Matthew's going to tell you to go build it.
we got another spec home in 55. All right, let's do it in
Model home, I
two
should
votes.
say.
I'll make the
Wait,
motion
so you're
to
go-
allow the bump out.
All right, Richard, what I wanted to do was go through the whole thing, and then we're gonna go line by line. Construction inspection estimate, you guys are gonna handle between the 2 parties.
Yes, we are.
I mean, would you like to either sometime next week bring it, meet here, or go to?
Well, send me a copy of the construction schedule.
Yeah.
I'll shoot that over to Green, and they'll revise their estimate, and I'll get that back to you.
I'll do that Monday.
That'd be great.
So that's
Thank
one.
you.
So 55 and over housing, the floor plan to be increased, in the distance between the units to be decreased by 4 feet, so from 20 to 16 in some cases, but not all.
On some of those plans, there's probably 10 that don't need it,
Mhm.
just because of the arc in the road anyway, but,
All right, so I would entertain a motion to approve the decrease in setback requirement from 20 to 16.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay.
Mark, I didn't hear you say aye.
Aye. All right, they're happy.
It's probably my hearing.
Yeah, that's it. Way over here. Can you hear me, Richard, over here?
Now I can, yes. Yeah.
Increased number of model homes, going from 4 to 5.
So moved?
And can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Come on, life.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Green, thank you for coming in and helping out tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And actually, they have some more information for you.
Tom and Eric, good job.
Are we able to ask a couple other questions or no?
You know,
Oh, I was talking, just other construction updates.
Oh, yeah, and actually,
That's what they're gonna do.
they're going to stay here for that discussion.
Oh, okay.
For like Cooper and all that.
Okay.
I mean, for Durkee and.
Yeah,
For that.
and Cooper and all that, so we can do them all together or no? Okay.
Would you mind just sticking around? We're gonna have a couple, a discussion you might want to be part of.
Absolutely, thank you.
Mr. Scott, would you please join us?
It was already rained, so I like to leave it. Why take
You thought it would be easier?
What was I thinking?
all the other?
Now, Peter, I did not take your candy. How do you like that? Isn't that something?
All right.
Something
Close your ear back.
something for honesty there.
What do we got now?
So I was asked just to come and give the board an update on all the different subdivisions that we're currently working on and making construction visits for. So I guess I'll start with kind of the older ones that you probably haven't heard a lot of updates on in quite a bit, one of them being Chestnut Farm, which is off of Harvard Road. Back in 2016, we developed a punch list for the developer, based with Jim Clyde, and I also believe Warren was there as well. There's about 30 items there that they were to address before the town would see it fit that it would be accepted. They also have 2 houses left to be constructed. I believe they're finishing up one house now within the next month or so, and then starting another one at the end of this month.
Plus the ones up at the end of the shared residential driveway.
Yes.
That no building permits yet for those, what,
That's
3
the
more?
very top of the hill?
There's 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think there's 3 more lots up there.
So can I ask you how they're doing on their punch list of the 30 items?
They haven't knocked any items off the punch list to date, so that I'm
So
aware
keep that
of,
in
so.
mind when they come in for more permits.
Well, what's the last house on line? It's on the right-hand side, it's a cape with a 3-car garage or something, heading up the hill. That one should have an occupancy permit already, right? Is there another one after that? That's the
Those
last
are-
one.
I think there are 3 more off the shared residential driveway up to, all 3 up further than, from that one.
Further than that one?
Right.
I haven't been up there in about a year and a half or 2 years.
But you said
So-
there's 2 houses left to be constructed under the permit that's been granted?
I believe
Subdivision.
so, yes.
So
The
can-
construction of the houses is less, we've been involved with that less, more of the roadway, what the town will accept.
No, but what I'm looking for is that we want to make sure the punch list items get completed. Can we ask Roland not to issue occupancy on those until the punch list is completed by
Well, you,
contractor?
Well, the better question is most of the punch list on the roadway or the shared residential driveway?
On the roadway.
So
Which
then-
leads to the residential driveway.
Right, so then we
There are some issues with the residential driveway, certainly the retaining wall, I believe there are some issues there. So,
Are they large issues or just housekeeping type issues?
They vary. One of the items is to make sure the fire department's okay with the fire cistern they have on site. Other issues are berm repair, pavement repair, installing street trees, granite bounds. So it kind of varies in scope.
Yeah.
Where they are with
Pretty
the
significant.
clearing of the wood lot? Have we done anything with that? or have
never
they-
got any satisfactory response.
Oh, when they clear cut it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like clear.
There's nothing they could do.
Well,
The
which-
Conservation Commission couldn't do anything, they weren't in violation of anything?
Well, and currently, if that would have happened, the stormwater bylaw would have been in effect because they disturbed more than an acre.
1 acre.
Right, of land. That was been, what,
Well,
6 or
maybe we
7
should
years
just-
ago now.
Maybe we should send Roland a letter then to make him aware that issues with the roads and with the bonding of the roads and the last lots available, we need to probably be kept abreast of what's going on out there.
The no occupancy permits will be addressed unless a majority, if not all, of the issues designated by green are addressed to
And
the
Maren, you helped
satisfaction.
write the punch list along with Jim, right? Yeah, so
yeah.
the items on the punch list would need to be completed.
I don't think we really
Before-
can.
We're not gonna have another Wilson Lane,
Okay.
okay? So, no more,
Okay.
I say no permits.
I don't think we
No
can do that.
Permits, right?
Yeah, or I wouldn't even give them a building
Right,
permit.
usually you do that at the point of when.
No return?
You're really, when the developer is requesting the town to take over the roadway, then before that happens, the punch list has to be done. I understand your concerns.
If all those, it's the same thing, if it was in Wilson Lane,
Right,
all those
that's
people
fine,
are in
that's
their
fine.
house, and the guy says, you got $50,000 of my money in a bond. I've got $150,000 worth of work to be done. Take the bond, see
So
ya.
why don't we do this? Why don't we send the developer a letter that we don't think we have enough bond money to fix punch list stuff and everything else on the list, that he could either address the punch list or come before the board before we issue any more permits to increase the bond money. Let's send him something
Whatever you
like
want to
that.
use, but regardless,
He's talking
Roland
about
needs,
building permits, you're talking about occupancy
I'm
permits.
both.
Either one, I don't care whatever.
I say both. And if those houses are under construction now, do not give them
I just
an
wanna be
occupancy
clear on
permit.
We can use either one, or both.
Okay,
Because the homeowner's gonna be the one that's just like we got at Wilson Lane, coming out, breathing down our neck.
terrific, there's Chestnut Farm, moving on, what's the next?
Next one is
Whoa.
distribution center. That's where the Potpourri and Verizon building are. That was mostly constructed by the time we became involved with it. And there were some spot pavement repairs completed in 2015. At that time, the Potpourri building was constructed, and at that point, it seemed like Condyne, who was the owner at the time, was going to look to get the roadway accepted. It's my understanding they've since sold the roadway to another developer. At that point, when Condyne was still involved, we had a site walk with them, also to develop a punch list. But to my knowledge, none of those issues have been addressed due to the fact that
So who owns the road now?
Yeah, the assessor's office has that ownership information. We
So
have
how do we-
we
how
have
do
a
we
street
get-
address.
Right, so how do we get the punch list completed with a new owner and no agreement with us, and how can they sell
Do
something?
we have
if
a
they-
bond still on it?
You did not require a bond on this commercial subdivision. If and when they want the town to take over the roadway, they would have to bring it back up to subdivision standards and make all the repairs. And at that point, the town would be responsible for maintenance after town meeting accepts it.
This is-
So I don't know if that it's.
This is part of that, all that back there was part of the TIF thing that the selectmen worked out, that we really didn't have a hell of a lot of options to do with again, right?
That was well after the
Well.
subdivision.
That was afterwards.
So I think we did the punch list on the premise that the town was going to accept the road, if it stays private.
No issue.
So
Okay.
presently, as long as it stays private, we don't have any issues with it? Except for that they got a road in town that's junk?
Depending on when
Right.
acceptance is requested,
Certainly
if it is,
yeah.
to revisit that, to see if there's any other issues that might have cropped up over the years or year.
Thank you. Next property?
The next one is Macintosh Lane, which is off of Gristmill. That's Peter DeCarlos's development that has, it's been in construction, I think, since 2014. But he's wrapping that up now. I think most of his houses are in, if they're not entirely in. And I spoke with him this week, and he intends to install a sidewalk and finish paving, curbing, street lighting, and street trees within the next month or so. And then get as-built. It appears that he's looking to have that roadway accepted.
Maren, can you refresh me on this one? I wasn't here when the subdivision got approved. What was the curbing that was required? Was it asphalt?
I believe that's bituminous berm.
Right. Next.
The next one is Durkee Farm. That started in 2016 with the first two streets, Balsam and Fraser Street. They've installed drainage, water, electrical conduit. They brought those two roads up. They've paved binder on that. As I'm sure you know, they've had some issues out there. We have seen some cracking in the pavement that they put down thus far. They did have some erosion control issues out there. The Conservation Commission had a cease and desist, which they have mostly lifted, to my knowledge. I believe there might be a few lots that are still under that order. And they started construction, stripping loam on their 3rd Street, Spruce Street, I believe it's called, this week. So we'll start back up with our site visits starting next week. We're coordinating with the contractor.
Do you know if there's been any resolution to the pond that they've created?
There has been no resolution to my knowledge, no.
So are they going to come before Conscom or us and tell us what's going to occur?
They'll meet again with Conservation Commission Monday night. I believe Amy just got some updated plans today that Conservation Commission will discuss Monday. If there are any revisions to the drainage design, then it would need to come back for you to determine whether or not they need to modify the subdivision, or if you could do that as a field change.
When you're talking about pond, is it one of those 2 retention ponds?
No. The road they put in created a dam, and they have, the water is, I mean,
It's a lake.
Yeah.
you could sail a boat in.
It's the old
what they
farm pond.
It used to be, it was a pond, but at a much smaller scale. than
Right,
this.
the road's much higher than the old retention of the pond, so.
In talking to Amy, I don't think the elevation of that pond has really changed much since it developed over the winter. So-
Right, so I'm wondering if it isn't fed and not rainfall.
Correct.
So
Are you saying
we'll be
that-
interested, and we'll be keeping a close eye on that one.
Their engineer thought it was partially a phasing of how the development was constructed, but that's yet to be determined, I guess, so.
So in other words, if they can take any runoff from uphill, that hits anywhere close to it and run it in a different direction, that's their salvation to the pond,
If
as
that-
opposed to running
basically, if that 3rd Street cuts off the runoff that's getting there now, then their thought is that the pond could go down to what it was.
So do you think they're going to have to basically put a hole underneath the existing road and drain it to the backside?
That's a possibility.
Is that one of your best
But
case scenario
Their
thoughts?
theory could be correct as well.
Who do you have more faith in, you or them?
What is the issue with the pond? I thought open
Hang
water
on a minute.
was a good thing.
Well, they have building lots where the pond is.
It's almost to the point of flooding some of the homes.
So I just want to understand one thing. How did we get there? If we're designing these and we're doing all the science that's involved in these, how all of a sudden, over the course of one winter, that's been a field for 50 years with a bunch of trees on it and stuff like that that had no standing water. It's lakefront property now.
Well, it's not that it didn't have standing water,
Not
it's
like-
just that there wasn't somebody noticing it.
Well, they've told us all along that there's no drainage issues out there. It's dry. It's got an intermittent stream that runs through the front of it. You've got a lake out there now. You don't have detention ponds. You have retention ponds out there now. You have 4 of them and a lake, or 3 of them and a lake. So when we did all these scientific calculations and all these modelings, why didn't this come up in all the modeling that if you put this road through here, all of a sudden, the water is not going to migrate down to that stream, and now we have a lake there?
And we've also affected the quality of the stream.
Well, yeah, well, we were told early on we've been told all along that this is a field. It's always been a dry field, and it's not. We didn't do any drainage testing out there. We did nothing out there because we're based on
The science.
Trusting
their
somebody's science.
Right. So now we're at a place where, I mean, this was a bad winter, but it wasn't a terrible winter, and it's still not
Even
that
close
bad,
to
and
a
it
bad
still hasn't gone down. It's a lake out there. You have 2 lots, 2 building lots that are basically underwater, and that are probably never going to not get underwater. Somebody missed something here, and I'm not saying it, I'm just trying to wonder how we got to this point, and all of a sudden, we've got a subdivision that the whole, in my mind, the whole drainage system failed.
This is the marshy area next to Foster Street?
No, it's a swamp area now. No, it's
lakefront.
what's the new lake they called it?
Gitchagumi?
That's a big lake. You want me let you off the hook, don't you?
For the,
My original question.
I'm sure if we were able to, then yes, we would be able to fix the issue there. But that is entirely up to their engineer to take a look and see what.
But that's not an answer, that's not an answer to fix it. Poking a hole in it to let the water run further downhill is not. These are supposed to be retention ponds. The water's going to infiltrate in them, trickle out into the ground, and then be gone. They were going to be dry.
Farm pond is different, right? So farm, I think the infiltration ponds, I think there was some, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, some concerns with how they were constructed
They haven't-
potentially.
Right, so they haven't drained they're supposed to drain in 72 hours. So if they over-compacted the soils when they were constructing them, that could be one of the reasons why those constructed infiltration basins aren't infiltrating the water.
What could be another reason, and I don't want to hear the or they haven't scratched it out. We didn't do any drainage testing.
Right, the
Are we
water's a
talking
lot
about
higher
ledge?
in
Are we
there than
talking
we
about
thought it was.
items in the ground that they haven't revealed to us that should be a concern of ours?
That is a potential, yes. That
Because-
maybe the percolation tests.
Have you seen the boulders that they pushed into that pond, the one to the left-hand side of it?
I haven't seen any boulders being pushed in there, no, so.
I mean, the regulations, I believe we suggest always that they do test pits to verify the infiltration rates that they use for those. But
So what have we
that's
learned?
the infiltration pond, but farm pond, isn't intended, it wasn't ever designed, it's a naturally occurring low area, and I think the construction of, what is that, Tom? Which
Fraser Street.
Fraser, I think from our look at the contouring that they provided, looks like that construction of that roadway blocked off the outlet to that pond. So that's kind of how it looks, and now with all the infilling that's occurred around it, and obviously the new impervious that's been constructed in that's kind of exacerbated the issue. In addition, we've had a very wet spring and winter from a rainfall standpoint, so I think it's kind of all worked in.
When you say very wet spring and winter, well, the winter, I don't believe is anything out of the ordinary for New England, actually is on the light side. And the rainfall is just barely above normal. So it's not, not according to Dickie Albert, when last I talked to him, he's not on TV, but I got his phone number.
The other concern is we have another subdivision being piggybacked right behind this. If this one doesn't work, and there's some fundamental design flaws in this, we need to know this and we need to know where we're going, because the other one's gonna be dumping into this one too.
I think we're gonna go back to, never mind, I don't know if this is the time to discuss it, would you like to?
There's no discussion of K property line, but there's nobody here from K to represent.
Well, I'm not talking about K in particular, I'm talking about any new subdivisions from now on.
We can move it to board business so we can let these folks go after.
Oh, I don't want them to go, I'm kinda starting to like them.
So just a question though, if the CONSCOM put a cease and desist order on what they're working on down there, correct? But they lifted some of it, so what's taking place there right now?
I know there's some construction on some of the house lots. So they put a cease and desist order on basically the entire subdivision, and then specific lots, and also for Spruce Street. So as they've addressed some of the more minor erosion control issues, they will slowly lift the cease and desist orders on those specific lots. And they had the developer's engineer develop a temporary erosion plan for the construction of Spruce Street, which we reviewed through the planning board, but on behalf of the Conservation Commission. We reviewed that plan last week. So the Conservation Commission then lifted that order on Spruce Street.
And their current action plan to resolve the lake that is basically formed there is what? Do we know that?
I have not seen
They've
that.
hired Moses to get rid of it.
I mean,
That's been 2 months, and they were using
Well,
a water
that's-
truck to suck out the water out of the other ponds, because they weren't doing their job. They were sucking it out, bringing it down the street and dumping it out again.
So,
That's the,
so with I'm hearing a little bit of frustration from the board regarding the way this project and process has worked. And now that we understand they're cutting a new road in hopes of affecting how the drainage goes into this pond, or out of.
they're saying that everything from the north is gonna run to the south. And they're gonna try and cut it off at the pass.
Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Say
to my
yes?
knowledge, there has been no formal recommendation provided by the site engineer.
See,
engineer
that's
record to
that's
address the
concerning.
issue. I
That's-
think
So they're plowing forward without any information
I think-
provided to you or to us on how they're gonna resolve the issues they have. So I would wanna poll the board on whether we should order a cease and desist until we have some resolution to the issues that are out there.
Do we have? I do.
I
I do.
not. Yeah.
I do.
I
I
do.
agree.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
warranted.
I do, it's, Richard, you have to go out there and look at it, it's a lake out
It's-
there.
Yeah, but no matter.
Do we have that?
We've never
Cease
had
and
a,
desist from us means they can't build anymore.
well,
There you go.
yeah,
There's no
until they
reason-
get
What would you
the,
rather
Until
do here?
they solve that, it's, I mean, that's,
It needs to be addressed, it needs to be solved.
yeah, not just pumping water out of one place and bringing it
Invite them
somewhere else.
into a meeting very soon? or?
The next meeting.
Whatever our
Wanna
next
have
meeting is.
The next meeting.
Well, they
which will
keep
be-
canceling because
Right.
they can't.
Because they
give us
keep
any
going.
answers. Right, because they
That's
can't
right.
give us
They're
any
Now
avoiding,
they
answers.
they're
can't keep
avoiding the
going.
problem.
We want an
hoping it'll
invitation.
with the
and if we-
chair.
And ask them to come with some solutions, or there will be a cease and desist.
That's better, yeah.
No, I don't,
Doesn't blindfold.
Okay, well,
let me hear- I wanna hear
Blindside
your-
them with
I
the
wanna
cease
hear
and
your
desist.
for, when there was still snow on the ground at one point in time that I looked at that pond. How long has that pond been there? The
First
one-
time I noticed it was this winter, so February,
Okay.
I would say.
February, March, April, May, June, 4 months. And have they given you any indication that they have figured out what they're gonna do, what they're gonna, how they're gonna assess it, mitigate it? Nothing.
No, the only thing that I can think of is that they wanted to install berm basically on everything that's paved to cut any water off that is going to that pond,
And then where's that water going?
into the closed drainage system that they've constructed,
And where does the closed drain system go?
to those infiltration basins.
That aren't drained.
Right.
So we've had 4
So-
months. We can either order, we can do it now, or we can invite them in and give them an
I-
opportunity to present.
The right way is not to blindside. The right way
Wait a
is to
second, they're not
invite them in.
blindsided, they've known about this
Yeah.
for 3 months.
And they haven't been
4
showing up
months.
to meetings.
They haven't done anything.
Then we invite them in, give
Cancel
them,
to-
When did we have the last discussion with them? I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
So they've had 4 months. They've been on the last 2 agendas and canceled both times.
It was a month.
So I'm polling the board, what is the board's pleasure? A cease and desist tonight, or do we invite them in and we have a meeting again this month, early next month, which is very difficult with the 4th of July?
We need a site visit and a meeting. We need to go look at it with everybody there first, and then have a meeting either that night or the following, or a couple nights after, so that we can all see it.
well, let's do that next week or the week after.
Does anybody want to do a site visit Saturday?
This coming Saturday, I'm available.
Do anybody spare 30 minutes of their time?
I don't have a problem with going up to look at it.
Yeah.
You're going to be in Vermont, or you here?
Here.
Would you have, I know weekends are your busiest time, but
When's our next meeting? July 2nd or
we
something?
have to make that
That's the
determination.
discussion.
Yeah.
That's board business at the end.
I could probably swing over there.
Say
Could we
9
ask
9 o'clock
a
Saturday?
representative from
8:30?
Green?
Okay, so if we have a site visit this Saturday, we can't have it posted properly?
We can go over each of us individually on our own time without having more than 2 at a time.
Yeah.
We can do a drive-by and then post something that we can
Well,
speak of it.
We've all done that, except for Richard.
So then why don't we let Richard go take a look at
Yeah.
it? We should all talk about it, and we should have a meeting.
All right, so we don't really need to go, it's just Richard that needs to go, and then we could have a discussion at our next meeting, and
Well, if we're going to go 4 weeks before our next meeting,
I was going to make the recommendation that we schedule another meeting this month.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
what do you need, 10 days, Maren,
No, 48 hours.
Yeah. just
to
to-
post it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to get the meeting scheduled them as soon as possible, I think.
I think
It's
so.
been a long time since we've had them
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah.
Next Thursday is June 8th. I don't think this room is available, but we could find a meeting room. Does that
I'm
date
okay-
work?
I'm okay with next week.
I can do it.
I think, I can miss the sportsman's for this month, it's important. So,
Or pick another night
You're
of the
chairman, you
week?
can't miss any more.
We could
I
do
haven't
it,
missed one yet, but.
we could do a different day in the week.
Wednesday night, 7th?
Wednesday works, wait, the 7th. PMBC, I got PMBC that night.
Thursday, the 8th is okay with me.
What exactly are they doing at PMBC?
Who cares, we're moving on. Next,
The last one we're involved with is Cooper Farm, which, as you know, just started construction this year, so they've stripped some loam, they've started to form some of the detention basins, so we've performed one site visit out there so far. And then there was some concern with some of the soil they were using, but they provided some sieve analysis for us, which eased those concerns.
So Cooper Farm's been through the same winter and the same rain and everything else, and they're just roughing in their detention bases. Is there any problems with their project?
I haven't noticed any, no.
So,
And actually, Amy did a
Kinda
site
rests my
visit. Amy from Conservation did a site visit today, and, you know, the usual problems you expect when construction starts, a little bit of mud, but nothing
but I
that's,
mean, they don't have lakes where they didn't have lakes.
then they had a heck of a lot of loam up there to strip.
Apparently loom isn't worth anything anymore.
And you
All of a sudden,
did,
it's not worth anything.
And it's- and it's-
Because you have a lot of it, that's why.
and it's obvious that the loam in the area that's gonna become ball fields
Yeah, I
haven't
got a
been
couple
touched
of
in any way, shape, or form, correct?
No.
Good, that's,
Take a
You
ride by.
refuse, don't say
Huh?
that.
Everybody should be
You're
driving
recused,
by
yeah.
these subdivisions.
I can ask questions about loam.
Yeah. No?
Speaking of that, the fields that you have
Yep.
designated as conservation or open space,
Space, yep.
are you leaving the loam?
It's all.
It's
I
all
just asked that
staying?
question.
It's all staying. Nothing's changing
Great.
on any of the land that's already been, has it been,
Town council has the draft deed to convey the open space to the town. It's being reviewed now, so it will be soon.
It'll be town land soon.
there's
I was just curious if it was gonna be stripped
There's
of.
there's no,
There's a grading coming
yeah.
close to where your septic
Septic,
field
yeah.
is. There's, between the septic field and the open space, and
Yeah.
we've talked to town council about that, there's
Yeah.
grading in between. But the open space is preserved as open space.
Great.
no stockpile.
Stone walls are getting wrecked, not,
Nope, not in the open space. Nothing.
And then you had
Extra-
contacted me
extra
during the
rocks,
week
extra-
regarding the,
The only thing that's worth anything is the
Yeah.
rocks.
and you're leaving
Are
them.
you stockpiling anything on the?
Nothing's getting stockpiled in the open space areas. Danny's actually, he's
So, next Thursday.
haying 2 of the fields right now that were previously hayed. And I don't know what he's doing with the pumpkins where he hasn't, I don't know if they go in soon or when they go in, or if he's turning it into a hayfield or what. But nothing's being done out there in those
There's the
fields.
2 fields closer to the road.
Yeah.
So all of the pieces,
Yeah, I
great.
mean, there's one that's not getting touched that he fertilized 2 of them, so he's, I mean, if it was dry, he probably would have cut them
Mhm.
this week, but it was too wet.
And then the road grindings that are in there, I see lots of piles of them.
Yeah.
What is that all being used for?
That's just, it was really only supposed to be 8 loads, and they brought 26. So they're gonna stockpile, take some back to the shop. We're gonna use some for the entrance to keep the dust down and that kind of thing right there, but it's just for, you know, keeping dirt and mud from getting out into the right of way of 2A from 119.
Is that,
any other comments or questions?
any issues with that?
Thank you for staying, because I knew this was going to be part of the discussion. So appreciate you sticking
Yeah.
around.
It should have been 8 loads, but it was 26 loads. Bill and AJ were a little bit upset about it, but they can move it pretty quick into a pile and.
But you can use that as subgrade for
I mean,
paving.
possibly maybe for some of the driveways in the, at the house lots.
Yeah.
But, we're just gonna use a little bit out in the front, maybe the first 100 feet, just to keep the dust down from, and the dirt from tracking out onto the road.
I think it's a great plan. I don't think it makes a great base for a main road.
No, it doesn't. It's,
Right,
it's,
so-
because it will move. It's too soft.
Right.
And I don't want to get mixed in with, you know, subgrade or anything like that
Right.
as well.
So, I mean,
We have a meeting
really want
next
to go through the
Thursday.
process, he could mix it and blend it and get the right gradation, but I don't
Right.
think that's probably what he's intending to do. So-
No,
Yeah.
our intention was to get 4 loads in each one of those entrances. And there was 4 down at the bottom, but then they said the 2 trucks went down, so they had to quick cycle, and that was the quickest cycle for them right there, instead of going to Chelmsford or wherever they were going, so.
Well, there's a sign up there that says dump now, which is down to the parking for the tubing part.
Well, yeah, they probably took 30 loads and they graded their parking lot with it. You know,
Means no more donuts in the winter for me.
yeah. No, I mean,
All right, are we done?
nice stuff, but
All right, so,
the right purpose.
thank
Peter
you.
would've been
Thank you for the
Thank you.
update, I appreciate it. Thank you folks for sticking
Thank
around.
you.
Okay.
Then we still have board business that we moved to the end of the night, and that's what I want to talk to you about. The developer who I met with, who, along with the 2 selectmen and 2 other appointed members of public service. The developer was proposing a 3-story, Mark, I was misinformed, it wasn't 4 stories, it's 3-story, 60-unit apartment complex to be deed restricted in perpetuity for low-income, affordable,
Yeah.
and market rate units. And in that, I wanted to, their proposal basically met the senior housing bylaw that we proposed that didn't get passed at town meeting. So The only way I see that it could go through now would be through a special permit, which, in discussion with some of the members, it was a concern because it would be spot zoning, and/or it should meet the criteria of a 40B, which in that case, they would go through the ZBA for a permit. I just want to get some feedback from other members on the quick discussion that I had on their thoughts of a 60-unit apartment complex in the town of Littleton on a piece of property that was roughly 3.5 acres.
We have that many units down on less acreage on Great Road. The Omni, to 40B. I don't see any reason. What, 60 units?
60 units.
But they're only single bedrooms.
They would all be single bedrooms.
Yeah.
It would meet the senior housing bylaw that was
Yeah.
proposed, that we're going to reintroduce in November for special town
Yeah,
meeting.
which really isn't a senior. Anybody can move into those units.
Right, but the bylaw was called senior housing bylaw, is what was
Yeah,
proposed.
maybe we should change the name of that, but
Well, I think the name conveys what we're trying to do,
Yeah.
even though we're going to allow the units to be marketed and sold.
we need a place for the millennials to move to. None of us are millennials.
It's still spot zoning,
No.
yes, it is. We're still talking about, basically, it's a 40B. And we're trying to keep 40Bs out, and we're gonna put another 40B in to try to keep them out.
Who
Doesn't
said-
make sense to me. I'd rather deal with it by doing the bylaw, getting it right, and waiting until the fall, so that we don't have to worry about, why this one developer? The Nordblum's come to us a million times who's wanted to do a mixed use out there and wanted to do, was looking at all kinds of affordable things, and we've just said, no, we don't allow apartment complexes in the town of Littleton, so why all of a sudden do we need to jump to it until we actually have a bylaw that we all can endorse and everybody knows it's gonna work? Before we let one developer jump on board and put 60 houses in 3.5 acres. We have a lot of other places that are probably better suited to put it, and like I said, a Nordblum's a prime example, there's a bunch of other places that would be.
How could a place that backs up to the high school, and backs up to the music school, and backs up to a hill, I mean, it is just all there by itself.
So what good is that? If you're gonna put senior housing in, they're gonna have the same problem that they have at Ponsard. I see them driving by, walking by me, or riding a bike, trying to get to the center of town every single day to buy stuff. There's nothing out there. If you're gonna do it, you do it comprehensively so that they don't have to even leave the place. We don't have that in place yet. So why put 60 apartments out in the middle of the woods? Just so that you have them? No, we're doing spot zoning. And we're rushing around trying to accommodate, let's do it right, let's do it once, and let's do it right. That's-
Well, first of all, it's not spot zoning, and
It is.
I
We don't
disagree
allow
with you
apartments in the
completely.
town of Littleton. There is no apartments. Our bylaw says single-family homes, no apartments, no apartment buildings. The guy who talked about it at town meeting was 100% right. That bylaw is circumventing so you can put apartments in, because that's all this is. You're gonna put some sort of affordable component to try to keep us happy, but it's not gonna count to the 40Bs, because it has to be very restrictive for it to be counted against our 40B total. So our total's just
It
gonna
has to
go
meet the
up.
state requirement.
Yeah.
We have to meet the state requirement parts of it, and that's
So-
gonna be hard to do.
In
That's why I'm saying, let's get it done right with the expert that we have here. Let's do it for November and not rush through and have this developer wanting to do it over here and this one wanting to do it over here. Because if you do it for one, you have to do it for everybody. That's my only take on it.
I like Mark's take on that. I think we would only, I prefer us to try and get something to go in front of the town and again, apply a good base to our discussions and have all our Ps and Qs
And
and
for
Is
specific areas. too.
and
Right.
lay it out. That's part of the master plan also. So I think let's let the master plan and let's work at that. I agree with Mark in this instance.
All right, I'm not gonna cry over spilt beans for a matter of
6 months.
4 months or 5
Right.
months, yeah.
Okay, good.
So in 4 or 5 months, let's say we get this bylaw passed, what happens when we have an influx of applications for apartment buildings all over the town?
That's why we
of-
have to develop it so that we can pick and choose what we want, what
where we want.
design criteria we want, and where we want. So it's not gonna go everywhere, and you're not gonna have every Tom, Dick, and Harry that has 2.5 acres and wants to stuff
We-
60 apartments on it. It's gonna have to be big enough to support infrastructure.
And we also got to
business.
remember that we don't have sewage.
Right.
So it's going to limit to where it's going to be able to fit anyways.
Yeah.
So you're going to take 3 acres and you're going to sit 60 bedrooms in it?
Well, it's all one, but there'd be a way to do that.
Well, they can't do it if
There'd be
it's
a
all
way
one
to, there'd
building.
be a way to put 60 units on 3 acres
That's all it is.
On that-
and get a septic design in it.
On that
To
site, they
feed
could.
that number of bedrooms, 60 bedrooms. How much does that come out to be?
On that site, they could.
And actually, on that site, you also have the added control of its water resource district.
Yeah.
It ain't
So-
going there.
No,
So-
if
so that's
the
a moot
nitrogen-
subject.
If the nitrogen loading exceeds what's allowed.
Yeah,
Well,
they-
it doesn't matter whether it's that one or someplace else.
Right,
The smart
and
thing for
I'm
actually-
looking at the overall picture.
The overall picture is that we ought to follow what Mark has suggested, is that we get it done right. We have,
we-
our-
We're past that.
what's her name?
Judy?
Yeah, we're
Judy,
past that.
I'm so bad with names. Judy, come down, sit with us, and we get it right.
But one of the
I'm not-
mistakes
I'm
that
not sure
Judy
Judy's
did
gonna
was,
be available.
we need to put a limit on the amount. It can't go on 2 postage stamps.
Right, and I
Well, that's what
think,
we proposed in the original.
Bigger than that.
right,
And
and
she
I
did.
think having Rebecca here for the detailed rules, regulations for the stormwater bylaw points out that we need detailed regulations for any new bylaw too.
Yeah.
That way you have a little more teeth than just the zoning bylaw itself. So this is what we expect. These are the details that we really would like to see. And that's part of the way you get to craft exactly what you want to see, is with the regulations that go along with the bylaw.
So why don't we, after
So I know-
July?
Well, because, so, in the meeting, the people that were present were supportive of the proposal and the idea, and thought it would meet the needs that the seniors are asking for in the town, and I want to make sure that we're not short-selling the seniors. I know we're talking about 4 or 5 months, but I just want to make it clear that it has the support of many people in town already for this location and for the type of construction that they were
But it
proposing.
doesn't serve the seniors' needs, because depends on how affordable you're gonna get it. You heard Gino talk about,
They were talking, so significantly low numbers. We're talking in the hundreds and not even $1,000 for rent.
The what?
Hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars for rent. They were talking, I mean, they were doing a 3-tiered
I'd like to see,
system.
I'd like to see a bank that would lend somebody money that's going to put up 60 units and get
Financing's in place.
finance in place for a proposed property that's going to take in, even if we said $900 a month on what, is that a 1-bedroom? Is it a studio? Is it a 2-bedroom? What size is it?
All 1-bedrooms, first floor would be handicapped, adaptable, accessible.
You've already seen the prints?
We've had the discussion. There's
It's a
no
long
prints photographed.
discussion.
It was.
Where were you?
At the meeting.
Were you there?
like, it doesn't, it has to serve the purpose of keeping us below the 40B thing. So in order to do that, it's gonna have to look like a 40B. And what you're talking about doesn't look like a 40B from where I'm looking. I haven't seen all the details that you had. I just don't wanna jump to anything, just because one developer, all of it, we've had 1 million people come and say, I wanna put an apartment complex in Littleton. We don't have apartment complexes in Littleton.
And we got to
because we
get,
want
by the same thing as we say, a senior component. And that was something that, again, like you said, the guy at the meeting says, no, you're just trying to circumvent it. I don't think that we portrayed well enough was the fact that even though we called it a senior thing,
Right.
it wasn't age restricted. And because of the age restrictions, what kept us, we were trying to keep the state out of it, correct?
Well,
That would,
No, the income restriction was trying to keep the state out of it.
The
That's the
income.
problem that you're gonna have with this. Keep the state out of your business and not have to regulate by the state, you're not gonna get it to count for the 40B stuff. You can't serve 2 masters. It either is gonna be a 40B, and you're gonna get it to count, or you're gonna not be cheap enough that people are gonna be able to afford it. That's why we need to take more time and come up with more incentives and ways to do it. And it doesn't necessarily mean apartment buildings. It's gonna mean more density. You heard him talk
Well,
before.
I think the density on an apartment complex provides, when you build it that way, you're able to provide affordable housing.
But
And
we
that's,
have,
but
we
the
have,
seniors do want to live together. The seniors that have been
Right.
here for 50 years do want to live together. Whether it's single-family living, then moving into apartment, and then moving, we went through the whole scenarios to assisted living
seniors can live
to
in Pondside right now.
hospice.
They can live in Pondside. There's how many different,
No, there's definitely the need. You know,
Oh.
so we have some housing choices, but there definitely we don't have enough.
Right.
But there are,
And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that although we don't allow apartment complexes,
But you
doesn't
know
mean
what?
we shouldn't allow apartment
so
complexes.
then why don't we
because-
do this? We have more land than we know what to do with. Why doesn't the town of Littleton decide to build senior housing? And let the town of Littleton own it. We have Morgan property. We have the 40 acres down off of, hey, I can hear you.
I'm not talking about you.
We have the 40 acres down off of Newtown Road behind Yap's Farm. We have that land over there.
You
If you,
could never sell that.
you don't have to, let the town, we have.
You could never sell it to the people to develop
To
that.
develop themselves if they want affordable housing. Wait a second.
Because the
We've
development,
done
in
everybody
this
else.
proposal, the other thing that they were talking about was providing maintenance. Again,
They have
we're
to, it's an
talking about
apartment
deed
complex.
restricted in perpetuity in, permanent owner.
You got,
so is the biggest issue the number of units? Because I heard a different description of the property that had a smaller number of units. It said 45 instead of 60.
If the
Is
conversations changed and they thought that a reduction would help sell it, then maybe that's the case. But my thought is that I don't want to, again, I just want to make sure it's been, this board's concern when Peter was chair and even when Richard was chair, that we take care of the seniors in our town. And I want to make sure we continue.
all in favor of that.
So just because we don't allow apartment buildings doesn't mean we shouldn't allow apartment
We
buildings.
shouldn't
Because
we
it
should-
provides affordable housing. It puts the seniors in a location where they're together. Now, if it doesn't have all the amenities, then maybe we should look at allowing amenities in that area as well. I mean, you do have
Let's
the
look
Dunkin'
at the
Donuts
whole
down the
thing,
road.
then rather than have one person that came up to two selectmen and a couple of people on the planning board and said, hey, listen, I got these 2 acres, this is what I want to do. Let's look at everybody, bring everybody in, bring the Nordblums, bring whoever the big landowners are who might want to consider doing a complex like this.
Jamie, would you like to come in and talk to us?
My point is, we have a lot more homework to do before we entertain doing this right away, because the only way we're gonna do it is spot zoning, and if you do it for one, you gotta do it for everybody. That's my feeling. I think, wait until
You're not talking
November.
about more homework on the proposal that was
The
in.
bylaw.
This
I
past
thought-
spring.
I thought the bylaw met the
We're close.
desires of the town.
We're there.
I don't think so.
We're there. It's the presentation that was
I don't know if it was
terrible.
so much
That's
that.
what I heard.
No. Well, you weren't there, Richard. You should have been there.
Yeah.
You could have lent your voice to it, and I would have got my 4 votes if you had been there, Richard. You'd have been 1 vote. I would have got my 4. The point is too many people got up and saw it as a way to get around zoning to put in apartments.
So-
And once that was floated out there, we still had the majority. We lost by 4 votes. We need to do a better job and do the bylaw
Not-
better so that we're not gonna have the issues.
We're not rewriting that bylaw.
We're gonna we're gonna change a few
Well, we
pieces.
should look at it, and if there's any edits that we want to agree to on the board, I mean, if somebody wants to bring it up, Richard, and discuss it, I think we
Yeah.
should. Doesn't mean we should rewrite it, but maybe we could make some small edits.
There's, the area south of the train station, I think, would be an ideal place to target something like this. And so maybe we ought to bring that up. And
You got
if,
Nordblum, you got Guthrie, you
if-
got.
Yeah, exactly.
if there are other
I agree,
other
there's other-
places in town, then we do it by special permit. And that way, we can incorporate the language that we have in our village bylaw district that says it's up to this board to decide if it's appropriate for the neighborhood. That it's not out of scale, that it fits the neighborhood, and it'll be our judgmental decision at that point.
I agree, that's what I'm saying, we need to look at what we
Yeah, so-
have, tweak it, and get
We
it back.
we can create a district where it's,
Not gonna
you can
create-
build whatever you want
No.
in that district.
Well, the bylaw allows them to build on the acreage that they have.
Yeah,
So if
but-
they have 2, 10, 20, 50, it doesn't matter.
But outside of that district, it's a special permit. We could make this a special permit. That way, we can control those guys who want to build 60 units on 2 acres.
It is a special permit as it
I
is now.
don't see how you're gonna get septic
Anyway.
of 60 for 60
So-
minutes.
That would be up to the proposal of the
Yeah.
developer's engineer
Yeah.
to provide us that, provide the Board of
So,
Health that information.
It's more, we can, I think what we ought to do is every one of us should take a look at that bylaw, and edit it the way we think it needs to be edited, and come back.
Exactly. Then
We should be the
have
ones
till
that are
November.
drafting
Let's
it
get-
from now.
Let's get past Durkee and Kay right now. The issues that we're having out there, that's why we have another meeting for July. And we have after July, we have August, September, October,
Yeah.
to bring it down
We
to
can-
November.
Yeah, actually, town meeting's going to be early this fall, probably October 23rd or 30th.
And we can have it,
So
we can have it
by-
Yeah.
ready for that, no problem
There's-
at all.
Early
I-
September.
And we have to include, do the inclusionary to go with it.
I don't think we should postpone this. I think we should all
Why
be
not?
be working on whatever amendments that we want to put on this, and talk about it on
Okay.
our next meeting.
Why don't we, not the next, but because the next meeting's next week, so why don't we make it
All
for
right,
our
the
next, our
following-
July
the
meeting?
following meeting.
So can we pick, because nobody's gonna be here for the July.
Your
early
motion to
July-
adjourn.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna, this is the last piece
Yeah.
of board business, and then you can make your motion.
Do you want to do it for August or
Two more
July?
pieces.
Yep.
Well,
Um,
we're gonna do another one in June for next week, and then we're gonna propose one in July, but it shouldn't be near the 4th. So if anybody is looking to do one in July or push it out to August, I'll entertain.
July 13th or 20th would be a good time to sit and discuss again with the housing subcommittee of the Council on Aging.
Why don't we post both those meetings, the 13th and the 20th?
No, it's the middle of the summer. Who's
Yeah,
going
I
to
won't
want to
be
come
able to do
twice?
that.
No.
I
Yeah,
have some vacations planned in July, so I can do the 20th.
all right, the 20th then. Because we
Work for you?
want to be, is there a backlog
Sure.
of people that are here? Want to be in
July
front of us?
20th?
What day is that?
It's a Thursday.
Yeah, I'm going to Canada, like, at the end of July, I believe.
Okay, so you wouldn't be available the 27th, but 20th might be good. And Rich, 20th is good for you?
Yeah,
Thank you.
all those dates are good.
July
Okay, great.
20th.
July 20th. Okay.
July 20th?
Next week and then July 20th.
Going to the Rock.
Are you?
How was Italy?
Really
Before we go, what's the last piece of
I'm
I'm
business?
sorry, thank you for signing the lot release for Phase 2 of Bennett Orchard. You vote to release the lots contingent on the cash bond for completion being posted. Would be wonderful.
Looking for a motion as stated from our planner.
To do what, to leave?
To vote on,
Oh, yes,
Release the remaining lots at Bennett Orchard.
yes. Second.
you made a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
All right.